Alright you guys, today we are going over all of my favorite homeschool items. This is a collaboration hosted by my friends CJ over at Homeschooling Through High School and Stephanie over at Schulte Sweeties Homeschool. I'm going to go ahead and link their channels and the playlist down below in the description bar. So make sure that you go check it out when you're done with this video. Go see what everybody's favorite items are, what's working for them, and all of that. So the very first thing that is up is my favorite homeschool planner. So I actually have two favorite homeschool planners. I kind of change homeschool planners every year, but out of all of the ones that I have used, Homeschool Life Planner, I believe that that's the name. It's a shop on Etsy. That has been one of my favorites. Their planner is beautiful and I love that it works in homeschool and life. And I can just put everything into one planner instead of having two different planners, and that gets chaotic. My second one though that I have used this year is the large monthly planner. As you can see, my children have decorated it with stickers. But I like it. It's very basic and to the point. There's no bells and whistles. It's literally just, you know, your month or your weekly blocks, a month at a glance, and then there's some extra space on the side that you can, you know, write your extra stuff in. It's like $10 on Amazon. I'll link it down below in case you guys want to check it out. But this has probably been one of the planners that has worked the best for me just because it's so minimalist. Like I don't like all of the different sections sometimes, like put your monthly goals and put this. I think that those things are nice, but sometimes it just gets overwhelming because it's like, what if my goal this month is just to survive? So at least for this stage of life with many children and some of them in the very little years, the minimalist planner has been my go-to. Alright, so next on the list is Homeschool Games. So like what our favorite homeschool game is, and ours is Ticket to Ride. This game is so fun, you guys. It's filled with, you know, being strategic and even a little bit of geography. And this is something that we really enjoy playing together. And I love how many different versions of Ticket to Ride there is. There's a European one. There's, I don't even know. We have a handful of them. There's even a junior one, so if your kids are really little, then you can get their junior version. I think that's the one that we actually started out with, and we liked it so much that we bought the regular version, and then I believe there's one for like all of the different continents, and I think that's a great game to work in if you're studying all of the different continents. The next item, I believe, is organization or storage organization. I love IKEA. I have a love-hate relationship with IKEA. Certain things, not the best quality, but other things are just like top-notch. And I have found these storage containers, and prior to storing our curriculum in here, we were doing it in like the large totes, but you guys know, like the curriculum books, they get very heavy, and so when your child is picking up the tote, like I was always getting scared that like they would end up dropping it on their precious little feet. And so my husband saw these last summer and we got a pack, and you get like 2 of these for $10, so it's not anything crazy or overpriced. But let me show you guys real quick. They store nicely on your shelves and they hold a good amount. And I want to go and get a few more because now that we are going to be homeschooling our almost 5-year-old, he has some things that I want to be able to put in those, but all of them are currently being used by the big kids. Alright, so the next item that we're going to be going over, what our favorite is apps and websites. And while I don't use a lot of websites, I will say that my favorite homeschool app has been IXL. I got that for my now 2nd grader. We got it towards either the middle or end of last homeschool year, and I believe our 1-year subscription has already expired. But I really, really enjoyed that app. I really liked that she could pick whether or not she wanted to work on everything, or if she just wanted to work on like language arts or reading or math. And then at the end of the week, they would send me a report on how she did. I really loved that. I can't say that the 1-year subscription is completely worth the cost. I think it really just depends on how much time you are really focusing on using the app and working on it. While I really loved it, I was not great at remembering to have her use it. So we used it really strong for about the first 6 months. And then around like the 6 or 7 month mark, we started like forgetting about it and getting busy, and you guys know, like, life just takes over. And so we haven't used it that much for the last probably like 5 or 6 months that we've had it. And so that's why I didn't renew it. I might consider renewing it later on, but just for how much it is for the whole year, I feel like if I'm gonna pay that much, I really want to have dedicated time to use it. But if you guys are like in a season of life where you have that dedicated time and you are looking for something that is well-rounded, has all of the different subjects, and you just want that practice, that is a wonderful app. It has truly been one of my favorites. I was going between that and Mia Academy, and I don't remember why I didn't go with Mia Academy, but I can 100% say that I was very happy with our purchase for the IXL membership for the year. The next item on the list is Homeschool Supply Store. So we previously lived in Arizona, and for the life of me, I cannot remember the homeschool supply store that I was going to. But it was basically this huge store that was filled with used and new items, but most of it was used and it was from teachers, or it was like new used, if that makes sense. Like if they didn't use it in their classroom, then they just donated it to this store, and everything was like dirt cheap because it was all geared towards selling it back to teachers who were in need for their classrooms. And luckily they had let homeschool moms take part in that. And so that was a really great store. If anybody is in Arizona and interested in the name of that store, let me know down below in the comments and I will try to find the name of it. It's been a little over a year since I shopped there, and I had only gotten the opportunity to go a few times, but the few times that I went, it was so nice because I was able to go get like dollar workbooks, and they had like this $5 like fill a bag thing where you could go throughout the store, and certain bins like you could just take from, and it was really nice. So I was able to get like math manipulatives and all of that for like a big bag for just like $5. It was really great. But with the exception of that store, since I no longer have access to that one since we moved, my favorite homeschool supply store is probably either Amazon or Target. Just because, you know, they have everything. It's truly amazing. Binding machine. I will post a picture of the binding machine that I have here because I don't want to get it out because it is very heavy. I do not remember the name of it, but it is big and purple, and I love it, and it has worked well for me. I purchased it on Amazon. I'll have it linked below in case you guys want to check that out, as well as everything else that I mention here that I can find links to. But I've never owned a binding machine other than this one, so I mean, I can't say that like I would, you know, like a different one more, but this binding machine has held up well over the years. It does everything that I need. It was very simple and easy to learn how to use, and it doesn't really give me any problems, so I like it. Alright, so the next item on the list is laminator, and oh, you guys, I love a good laminator, but I especially love this Fun Laminator. I'm going to flip around the camera and show you guys this because you know how much I love functional things, and this is a wonderful laminator that any homeschool mom would love. Let me flip around the camera and show you. Alright, you guys, so look at this laminator. It is not only compact, but it's also lightweight, and it's so functional. If you flip this part up here, it holds a paper cutter, and then it holds some metal rings, a corner cutter, and then a little hole punch. And then it also comes with an extra blade for the page cutter. And you guys know how much I absolutely love functional items like this. I think that this is amazing. If you guys have seen any of my videos with how I prep all about reading, you know that I love to laminate the pages. It just makes it so that it's long lasting and durable and easy for me to resell. And so I love having a good laminator for those things, especially when it comes time to cut the pages and all of that. I'm going to go ahead and flip around the camera now. Okay, one more thing that I wanted to mention about that laminator as well is that, like most laminators, they send you a few of their laminating sheets just to kind of get started. And a lot of the times when I get these sheets with the laminators, I hate them. They're very thin and flimsy and low quality. But I was pleasantly surprised when I tried out a few of these. They're very they're on the thicker side. They are good quality. They even send you them in various sizes. So you get like a few photo sizes and then some that are, I'm guessing, about like 5x8. And then you get some that are even longer. So if you wanted to laminate some posters for your homeschool room, you have some to do that. So I thought that was super cool because usually they just send you like some standard sizes and they're honestly not even usually very good. But I was pleasantly surprised with the quality of those ones. All right, so the next item that is our favorite is printers. And you guys, like, I love the Epson Eco Tank. This one is the 2850. I believe I have also had the 2750. At some point the 2750 did crack out on me, but I have had this one for about 2 years now, I want to say, and this thing is a beast. It took me 1.5 years before I even had to fill up the ink again. And if you guys have been around here, if you're not brand new to my channel, you know I print a lot. I mean, even if you are brand new here, go back and look at some of my previous videos. I do a lot of curriculum reviews, and a lot of that curriculum I am printing on my own. And so I print quite a bit every single month, especially just throughout the year, especially during the summertime. So the fact that it took me about 1.5 years before that ink even got to the point where it needed to be refilled is amazing. I absolutely love that printer. I know some people have a love-hate relationship with the Epson Eco Tank, but even when my 2750 had eventually cracked out on me, they had sent a refurbished one. They have great customer service. I have never personally had a problem. I love it. I will link this down below, but honestly, if you have a Costco or Sam's Club membership, the best deal that you will find on it is at one of those warehouse stores. And usually towards the end of summer, they will do a sale on them where they go from, I believe, like $250 down to like $200. And it is such a wonderful investment. I would 100%, if you print a lot, you need the Epson Eco Tank. That's my favorite printer. Our favorite notebooking book is next. And I don't think I really have a favorite notebooking note. I use the 5-star ones. I'm not fancy, you guys. Like, if I can pick it up at Target or Walmart, like, that's my go-to. I do think that Hosanna Revival has some very beautiful notebooks, but I just have not splurged and gotten them. But I would really like to do that this homeschool year, because if you guys have seen, this is what their Bible looks like, and they have beautiful notebooks just like this, and I really want one because they're so pretty. But yeah, just outside of that, just the 5-star notebook is what my favorite is. I'm not a fancy girl when it comes to that kind of thing. The next item on the list is electronic product. I don't really have any, at least not that I can recall, so I'm going to skip that one. Homeschool or Motherhood podcast. I have recently been listening to Heavenly Minded Homestead on YouTube, and I absolutely love her. I'm currently going through her series on timeless classics for biblical womanhood. I'll link her playlist down below. I feel like if you are striving to be a better Christian, a better wife, a better mother, that playlist that she has on Timeless Truths is eloquently done. It is very beautiful, and it has spoken to me in a lot of different ways, and just a lot of what she has said has resonated with me, and I really love it. I don't remember Jamie Erickson's podcast, but there are times where, you know, ebbs and flows where like I'll listen to it for a little bit and then I go away from it and then I listen to it. And I really enjoy her podcast. I just can't remember what it's called. But if you listen to it and you remember what it's called, link it down below because I'm having mom brain right now. The next one is just for fun. Show off your favorite mug or water bottle for coffee or tea. And this is my favorite coffee mug. At one point, my husband, prior to retiring from the Air Force, was stationed in Germany, and we had such a blast there going and visiting all of the different countries that we could. But my favorite, or one of my very favorites, was going to Poland, and I got the opportunity to go there twice and get beautiful Polish pottery. So this is not my only mug. I have thousands of dollars in mugs. It's kind of crazy, but I love a good Polish pottery mug, and so this is probably one of my favorites just because it looks like sunflowers and they're so pretty. I love them so much. But the Polish pottery, if you're in the States, don't buy Polish pottery in the States. It's atrocious what they charge. Okay, we have a Polish pottery place that's maybe 45 minutes from us, and I walked in thinking like, oh, it's going to be so cool. And it was like $80 for a mug. And I'm like, I got this for like 15 in Poland. And I know that not everybody can just jump on a plane and go to Poland and buy Polish pottery. All I'm saying is that if you're going to spend US prices, you might as well just jump on a plane and go to Poland. And that's my soapbox for today. So the next item is Homeschool Thrift Secret. I don't really have a homeschool thrift secret. I think the only thing I can think of is that sometimes you find some really good homeschool items at Goodwill. I know that there are a lot of times when I'm shopping for books and you can see like the seller online and it'll say like Goodwill, and then sometimes I even get books from Thrift Books and it has a Goodwill sticker for like 99 cents, and I'm like, I should have checked Goodwill for these books. And as much as I want to go there and just check, sometimes taking 4 kids out to go into a Goodwill in the hopes that they'll have something good related to homeschool is not always my cup of tea. I'd rather just buy it online. But if you have the will and the endurance, then I would say go to Goodwill and check it out, because I'm always seeing things online, at least books. So, and I know games too, but I've been a little jaded about buying games from Goodwill just because sometimes we have gotten home with a game or a puzzle and there are pieces missing and I'm like, ugh, and some of their prices are really good, and then other times it's like, well, I just spent like $6 or $8 on this and now it's missing pieces. That's another soapbox for another time. All right, so the next item is pens, pencils, markers. I love Sharpie markers. I usually end up getting a big batch of those before the homeschool year just because we tend to use them for various things. The kids use them a lot for their art projects, like when they like to do like those like follow how to draw X, Y, or Z character on YouTube, and so they use a lot of the markers for drawing. My favorite pen though is the Sharpie pen. I like the colors that they come in. Not like the pen writing colors, but just like, like you can get a pack of white pens or purple pens, and I don't know, something about that just makes my heart happy, and I feel like my writing looks really pretty with the Sharpie pens. The next one is your favorite homeschooling encouraging book that encourages you, keeps you sharpened, or helped you get started on your journey. And my favorite all-time homeschool book is Homeschool Bravely by Janie Erickson. I feel like she is just so encouraging and uplifting, and I just loved all of the wisdom that she had in this book, and just all of the wisdom that she puts out in things like her podcast and her Facebook page and her website, and it's so helpful. I think it's also a lot of good reminders that she has in there of how we should approach homeschool and how we should do it with peace and rest, and also to realize that sometimes people may not always agree with homeschooling, but we don't always have to fight them. So I really like her writing style and her book. The next item is Printable Resource. I meant to print some of these out for you guys and I completely forgot. So I'm going to link it down below. But they are color by number math sheets and they are so much fun. We have used them for years. I think this is actually probably the first time I'm ever mentioning them to you guys though. But there's a website, I believe it's called color by number, but I could be completely off. But I will make sure that I link it down below because it is one of my absolutely favorite free printable resources. And the way it works is they have a whole bunch of different color by number character pages, but some of them are actual like color by number, like blue will be 2, black will be 3, yada yada yada. But they also have addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division pages. And so, you know, you solve this division problem for this color and this multiplication number for that color. And so if your children love math or need extra help in math or really like art, this is a great way to get them to do art while doing math, and it doesn't feel stressful. It doesn't feel like they're doing math. They're just getting to do a fun art project, and we have absolutely loved that website. And they actually surprisingly have a lot of different character pages. So it doesn't matter whether your child likes princesses or Pokemon or Avengers or Batman. They have a whole bunch of different ones. And I believe you can even email them and ask them for like a certain character if they don't have it. And I think that that's pretty cool. The next item is homeschooling tip that you have learned from someone. And I think my best tip that I ever heard someone say is that when the tears start, you should stop. And I really need to remember that sometimes. I think whether, you know, it's just a hard day or a hard lesson, or maybe you and your child are just not getting along that day, I think it's a good reminder that when they start crying or you start crying, it's good to just take a break and walk away and either come back to it in a little bit or maybe even take the day off and come back to it the following day. I think that that's been one of the most helpful tips that I have learned. The next one is, what is the best homeschool benefit? That's a good one. I think that the best benefit to homeschooling my kids has been the extra time with them. Time that when we were doing public school with our oldest and even our second child, that I didn't even realize I was missing out on just because I was going with the norm. I was going with what my parents had done with me and, you know, what for the most part we had done with our oldest and what everybody else, you know, seems to just kind of do. And I didn't even realize how precious this time was. You know, like you realize it, but you don't really realize it until you realize that you didn't have it. So there's so much of like a deep part of me that I wish I had come to homeschooling so much sooner and had done it with my oldest, because that's just time that you don't get back. And so I think that that is the biggest benefit, but also just being a military family and having to move so frequently. I mean, my husband is retired now, but we have done at least 4 moves from the time that we had our second child to now our 5th. And it has been so nice to maintain consistency in their education that my oldest daughter did not always get when we were doing moves, because I believe before we had my second, we did either 2 or 3 moves with her. And each time it was so hard because I believe our first move, she went to a school that was drastically ahead of where she was at, and she was very challenged. And that wasn't a bad thing, but there was a lot of stress and tears in the very beginning while she was trying to get caught up and understand what everybody else had already mastered. And then when we moved from that area to our next area, they were significantly behind, and so she was just kind of coasting and like, oh, I already know all of this, like I'm good. And she was seen as like one of the best students in the class, but you know, she wasn't really being challenged in the same way that she had been in her previous school. So I really appreciate the benefit of keeping everything consistent and there's no gaps. So I have very much appreciated that, especially with the lifestyle that we have had to live because of the military. And then the last one is add anything else if you'd like. I can't think of anything else. I feel like we've covered a very great deal. Let me know what some of your guys' favorite homeschool items are, whether they were a part of the list or something completely different than what the list entailed. Make sure that you check out the playlist, and if you like this video, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up, hit that red subscribe button, and I will see you again later. Bye.